Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of On Point. It is Sunday and it's 4 o'clock on the East Coast. It is On Point. And with me are some of the bread minds in Liberia, and we are about to discuss issues affecting our politics, our economy, our family, and our nation as a whole. With me is my co-host, Mr. Jimmy Eastman from the nation's capital. Jimmy, how are you doing? How is your day?
Well, it's a blessed day in the nation's capital. We're looking to see how we can help our nations by shining the light and making clarification so everybody can have a sound mind going toward the elections.
Thank you very much. And with me from the Garden State is Mr. Victor Nangbe. He and I were basically born under the same tree. We are students of the greatest politician ever, Gabriel Barker Matthews. But he was able to stray away. And we are seeing leaning toward the CPP. Mr. Nangbe, how are you doing, sir?
Hey, my dear brother, it's good to be here. Let's see how best we can help our people make informed choices for the upcoming elections. So it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. And from the state of 10,000 Lakes, Minnesota, is the young, vibrant Elvis Morris. Elvis, how are you doing, sir? You're looking good.
Thank you, Mr. Gayman. A lot of interesting topics to talk about today. I'm excited. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you. And from Baltimore, we have a supporter of Joseph Yuma Waikai, Mr. Aliu Kamara. Mr. Kamara, how are you doing? How is Baltimore?
You got
I'm far from my computer, my phone. Every time you mute me, you should unmute me.
Okay.
Anytime you mute me, you unmute me. Okay.
Okay.
So
go ahead.
So I say thanks for bringing me on today, and we're here to have some fun.
Great. Okay, there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a great show. As you can see, Liberia, Monrovia, our culture, we are in something we call the silly season. There's a lot of things going on in politics. We are seeing a lot of carpet crossing. We're going to see endorsement, unendorsed. We are talking about movement of the sinew, the political blood, the veins of the country. for the next, I think it's 90 days or 88 days or so. Yesterday, we saw the president, Honorable Dr. George Manuel, we are in the Republic of Bassa, Grand Bassa, and it was something to behold. The Bassa people welcome their son into the Bassa Belt, the heart of the Bassa Belt. And we are going to be looking at some of those photos, how rousing it was. We are also going to be looking at the closure of the Spoon TV. What does it say about democracy? What does it say about rule of law? We're going to talk about that. We are going to talk about Daniel Chair leaving the CPP and endorsing the candidacy, the re-election of President Weah. And finally, the $30 million thing we've been talking about with Joseph Boakai, for some reason, it is not going away. People want to know what happened. Who did Joseph Boakai meet in Ghana? The question, hopefully, Mr. Aliu can go a little further than he did the last time. He came up with a plausible deniability. But for some reason, the word is not buying it. He has to go a little deeper. He said Boakai was in flight and they waved him down. He stopped, went to this meeting, and he was shocked when he saw that, and he ran out of there. We know that's not true. We're digging into it. So, ladies and gentlemen, please do us a favor, share the show. Jerome, you on here, please share the show in your network. Let everybody get to participate. We're going to do it in 3 sections. We have done the introduction. We know who the players are. We're going to discuss the issues. We're going to read some comments. And if we have time, we'll take some calls. So have your comments coming. Let's keep talking. Mr. Eastman, the president was in Bassa yesterday. And if Mr. Jai is here, you posted a video in a little clip in our chat room. Hopefully we can see it. But talk to me, what was your impression yesterday of the visit to Bassa, the reception, the speech, and where you see the elections going?
You can tell that the elections season has really started. Yesterday, he got a rousing welcome from the city of Buchanan, where he walked for a couple of miles with the people of Buchanan to the port and all of that. And you could see there was a lot of ambiance. There was a lot of cheering. You could see the whole fields of blue CDC regalia. And it was a good showing. And then, of course, he made some riveting speeches. He is a seasoned politician. Everybody better give him that and better know that George Weah is probably one of the most adept politicians we have today. And he was there. Yeah, he went after the opposition. He went after Boakai. It says he was after Boakai had called him out that he never made any suggestions in the Senate. He never put his hand up. He said, well, how will you know if I put my hand up? You were sleeping half the time. So he threw a nice little jab at him. And he also jabbed at the CPP leader, Alex Cummings. Said, if you Mr. Fixer, what are you fixing? I don't know. You say you're a fixer, but I don't see what you're fixing. So, yes, we can see that the election season is on full steam ahead, and I think the opposition hasn't really taken into account how good a politician George Weah is, and they better take note going forward.
Great. Obviously, politics, we say symbolism and optics are everything. And yesterday he had all in one package. Mr. Anthony Gay, welcome to the show. We appreciate you coming. Mr. Aliu, let me go to you here because yesterday the president said when you look at the UP folks, they're all wearing bonnets. I see everyone there. There you go. We got no volume, but we are seeing. So, ladies and gentlemen, you are seeing the video, a short clip of what Basa looked like yesterday. We are talking about walking from the Monrovia Junction to the fairground. That's miles. One of the journalists called me and said he almost dropped. That's this guy that runs the Ablija TV. His name is Elton Tier.
Yeah, when you get 50 buses.
Yeah, right.
When you get 50 buses, definitely.
That's correct. So
Great man walking. Great man walking.
Here we are with a walk from the. If you ever been to Buchanan, when they say the Monrovia Junction, that's way outside. Walking from there to the fairgrounds. This is impressive. Absolutely impressive. And Mr. Eastman, I think you are right. When we talk about a politician, I would compare this to Avida of Argentina. When this woman roar, the people shake. It is just something about the personality that makes him a human magnet. Mr. Aliu, yeah, I know you're wearing your goggles. They talk about the goggles yesterday. They say the Unity Party people wear goggles because they love to sleep. They don't want you to see their eyeballs. So are you up, Mr. Aliu?
You gotta unmute him.
Yeah, I did.
No, he's still muted.
Am I clear now?
Yeah, there you go. Go ahead. Mr. Kamara, you got your goggles on. I see you. I can't see your eye, but it's all right. Tell me about the visit yesterday to Basa.
I think we all got to put our goggles on, right?
So the CDC, so when that a new UP thing, the Google?
Yeah.
That a new?
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Kamara.
Ali is still muted, Jerome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys can hear me, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, great. So let us not fool ourselves here to say a couple of things. Joseph Burger was presiding and he was sleeping. First of all, the Senate pro tem is the one who presides over the Senate. So let Joshua show a time when Joseph Burger had to come down to preside over the Senate whenever there was a tie. So let Joshua show you that, first of all, before we can find out how much or whether or not Joseph Burger was sleeping. And talking about Goku, when was the last time you saw Goku on Joseph Burger's face? But listen, Joshua lied. He said Joseph Burger worked in government for 60 years, which is also another lie. He told a lot of lies. That means Joseph Burger would have been in government at the age of 18. You know, that was also a lie. I mean, he lied too much over there. But listen, we know what's happening in Liberia. We know who was in Buchanan. And Mr. Gayman, all of this exaggeration, when you talk about Monrovia parking to the fairground, is miles. Who are you talking to? I know Buchanan very well. What are you talking about? Miles. Stop it. Okay, he didn't walk miles. So, yes, it was a good showing, and I agree with Mr. Eastman that he has become very politically savvy. But I wish he would transform that savviness into actual performance. The running he's doing all over Buchanan streets would not cut it because the people of Grand Bassa County understand what it means if you cannot move your goods from Senja, district number 2, just to compound district number 2, because the roads there are cut and people are using monkey bridges. So vehicles cannot go in. The people know that. It doesn't matter how many marching you do. What goes in the people's belly, that's what they know. What they put on their skin, that's what they know. If their hospitals have medications, that's what they know. It doesn't matter how much he walks. He's an athlete. Let him walk. That's good for him. So I'll leave it. I'll leave it at that for now.
Great.
Great.
Mr. Let me mute this. There you go. Mr. Gay, you are the newest comer here. I know you have a lot on your plate. I see a lot of worry in your eyes. But it's all right. We're coming to you later on. But look at this giant of Beku where he says, I am the only person who have come to you consistently with the same name. I didn't come to you before our Rescue 1, Rescue 2, Rescue 3, Rescue 4, Rescue 5, Uncle. Every time they come in different names, different nomenclature, but the same old Joseph Boyka. In fact, he said that Joseph Boyka was sleeping. It wasn't President Weah that began this conversation. It was Joseph Boyka who said this man never raised his hand once in the Senate. And the president retorted, this is what a smart man does. He said, yes, you didn't see it because you were sleeping most of the time. And when they show pictures of several pictures, thousands of pictures of the man sleeping, even Ellie looking at him in cabinet meeting sleeping. Mr. Gay, yesterday, if you saw what happened in Basel, what's his D?
Thank you very much, Mr. Gayman, and good afternoon to everyone out of the panelists. Listen, that's something you can't take from President Weah. He's a celebrity. Whether or not he's a president today, he is a celebrity of the nation, the well-known celebrity that Liberian ever known. And so that part of him will always be there. That he's that celebrity that most Liberians aspire to see, to get close to him. But if it comes to politics, and that's where sometimes I feel bad for him, because the legacy of George Weah will be very, very controversial and bad in a sense that the dignity and honor that he's supposed to have as a Liberian citizen who rose to the highest, peak of his career in the soccer world. BBC described George Weah as the player of the century out of Africa. That was a clear description that BBC gave George Weah when he won the FIFA Player of the Year. A player of the century out of Africa. I don't think some of us will be around for another African player to reach that level. I don't think so. Things can change, but not in my lifetime. I may be wrong. So that statue of him is not a small statue globally. So if any Liberian would not aspire to him like that, that would be, an understatement. So most of the people you see when George Weah run or be running, it's not because of the accomplishment politically of his leadership style. George Weah was never elected in Liberia because of what he brings to the table as a leader. He was elected because of popularity, because people saw this guy, as this global figure. Even serving as UNICEF ambassador, who was then the best candidate to bring peace to Liberia. George Weah was not part of the war, so he served as their ambassador. And football was the only unifying force during the war. The rebel, the soldiers, and the rest of the other civilians would come when Lone Star playing come together. And after that, they go by in their butchers and whatnot. So for me, I'm disappointed in him because a man who soccer have taken to the highest height. Look at the Liberian Soccer Federation today, the Football Federation of Liberia today. Are you proud of it than the way it was when George Weah was a football player for Liberia in his prime? I don't think so, right? So when we come to politics, sometimes we forget these things and say, oh, the man's a human magnet, the man's this. Before politics, what was Weah? He was this celebrity that all Liberians used to look up to and celebrate. I was fortunate that George Weah signed my jersey. My number 14 AC Milan jersey, George Weah. I bought that jersey at Sokose, one of the number one supermarket in Abidjan. He signed that jersey. I treasure that jersey. So I'm not one of those who just batting. So I respect what you have accomplished as a soccer player, but when it comes to politics, let's go back to the Senate. I challenge any one of you that will show me George Weah's latest accomplishment or bill that he co-sponsor, not even the one that he authored, but co-sponsor. Co-sponsorship, not just signing or voting for a bill. Co-sponsorship is that you bringing your idea to the idea of a person that introduced a bill and say, yes, I believe in what you're doing. And yes, what I think also we can do with this, I would love it. I would do this. George Weah didn't do that in his 3 years as a senator. He did not do it. He cannot even brag about his latest accomplishment. Nothing. So if you say that George Weah is throwing a job at Joseph Boakai for sleeping, he has the right to do so because Joseph Boakai has many countless pictures of sleeping. So yes, but the Senate was misled because Joseph Boakai does not preside over the Senate. He is not the Senate pro tem. He was only the president of the Senate when there is a tie for him to break that tie. So if you are not familiar with your civics, then George Weah just misled you. And
Mr.
so
Gayman, giving the man too much time. I mean, how many minutes the guy was talking?
You will not do that
No,
to me
man.
today.
Everybody was under 2 minutes. You're taking more than 5 minutes, man.
Everest,
You're
you are
saying
not the
things, but
host.
you're not saying nothing.
You are not the host. I know
But Mr.
really
Mr. Gabe,
you don't like it.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but may I submit this question why before you conclude?
Yes.
Okay. A lot of people would say that the current democratic system we have is a popularity contest. All right. So if George Weah is depending on his laurels to win the presidency, is he at fault? Can you blame him? Isn't that what? Should we change the system? What are you suggesting here?
Good. So with all that popularity thing we've been talking about, CDC, the Congress for Democratic Change, not the coalition, but the Congress for Democratic Change, twice fell short of the presidency because they didn't have the number. That's why they formed the first coalition that succeeded, right? There was a coalition before then, but it never succeeded. So I'm claiming this one is the first succeeding coalition because there was a coalition before the Taylor time that never succeeded. So the first coalition that succeeded in our Liberian history was the coalition for democratic change, where the MPP, the LPDP, and the rest of the other people came together and they won the election. But CDC by herself, Congress for Democratic Change, did not win an election in Liberia, the presidency 2 times. It was the 3rd time they won. So that popularity is there, but it's not sufficient to carry over the hump. That's why he always go to the 2nd round. George Weah had that solid 25 to 30 or 32% group of people that will always be there. But that 30% does not have the vote to claim the presidency in 1st round. You mute that.
I'm afraid of you because someday you say you CPP, then someday you say you leaning. The last time I saw you lean so far, you almost fell. But tell me, are you okay with it to be in that camp, CPP camp, or you still leaning so people can be aware where you stand? Because we got 88 days now. You still leaning?
Are you talking to me or are you talking to Mr. Gay?
I'm talking to you. There's nobody else was leaning here but you. I said we got 88 days now. You've been leaning. Are you leaning and then discuss the president trip to Bassa?
For a moderator, you really should do pack a punch. I'll tell you this. I am UPP and I will be UPP to my grave. However, for this election cycle, UPP is not fielding a candidate. And so I feel Mr. Cummings and the CPP present the best option to deliver Liberia from, you know, the hardship that our people face every day, um, to deliver Liberia to the modern era. I don't believe any of the candidates can do that. And so this is why I am leaning CPP. If I have to vote, which I did not because I wasn't in Monrovia to register, but I am doing the best I can to um, encourage those who I can to cast the vote for the CPP. Now, as to why the president was ambassador, why was the president ambassador again? Because I don't understand. I hope he was not campaigning
No,
because
no,
that would be a violation of the
no.
elections law.
The president went to receive an endorsement of the Bassa people for his second term.
I see. Well, let me say this. I think the president going to Basel is an encouragement for all of us because it tells us now that he knows that the elections will not be tampered with. He has to actually get out there and get the votes. So I think that's a good thing. We also know that the president is worried. Um, a lot of my speakers on this panel have pointed out the need to avoid tribalizing the politics, and so I wouldn't say, the president went after the Basel vote or whatever it is, but we all do realize that the Basel belt also brings in a significant amount of vote to the table. And I think the president knows that. And I think every politician who is worth their salt will do well for themselves and not to neglect the Basel belt. And so him going to the Basel belt for uh, whatever award that he went to receive or whatever it is also an encouraging sign because he knows now that the Basel belt is going to be a battleground. It doesn't belong to any particular candidate. And with our selection of Councilor Bromskin as the CPP running mate, we're very confident that the CPP will garner a sizable chunk of the vote from the Basel belt. So we welcome the president, whatever awards he's going to receive. He's welcome to Basel, and we all know how our people are enthralled by the celebrity status. So let the president not be fooled by people coming in the streets, to run after him. We know that they do that to superstar. The president is a superstar. He is an icon, a soccer icon, but that is not equivalent to good leadership. So yes, when he shows up, people will come to see him because
Absolutely.
people won't come and greet him. But he has to be careful. He has to make sure that these very people will turn out and vote for him on October 10th. And we are making sure that does not happen because this president has been a disaster. This president has done nothing for the country. I'll be honest with you. I'm a Southeasterner, and I have a Southeastern solidarity with the president. But I have to be honest. This president came in with a lot of expectation, a lot of promise, and he just let us down. He is an absentee president. He says nothing. This president has had no reshuffle. He has people in his government who have been accused left to right of corruption here, corruption. And what does he do? Nothing. Usually he will even promote some of them, And our people are paying the price for this. This is negligence. And really, I'll be shocked if the people return this president back to the executive mansion on October 10th.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please do us our favor. Share this show, gentlemen, in your own network. Please share this show. And let's get to this. Mr. Elvis Morris, you saw the president in Basel yesterday. He began by saying, "This is not a visit. My mother is a Basel woman," and he spoke Basel. Then he said, "Nida, Nida." He said, "I am here. I have come." He said, "This is where I am. This is me. The Basel boy. I am here." And the place went wild. So this is a man who you say, some people say he's a celebrity, but he's, we talk about master politician who knows how to connect. Mr. Morris, your view on the president's visit to Basel yesterday?
Thank you, Mr. Gayman. I would say this: it was a political spectacle. You know, when people talking about politicians in Liberia, specifically to Liberia, George Weah speak the language of the people better than any other politician. I will give you some key points that I took from that speech that he gave. One of the things where, like you said, he spoke in the local vernacular. He spoke a little bit of Bassa. I don't know how good his Bassa is, but he spoke a little bit of it.
That one
And
or
then,
two words.
secondly, he didn't come there to give any kind of flowery speech where using big words and
He
using
can't do it.
abstract words to to talk to the people. He spoke to them in a common language that everybody there could understand. That was excellent. One of the things that he said, and I'm glad he made this clear to the people there. He said, yes, people are, quote unquote, making fun of him that he hasn't taken road to his home in Southtown. But he clearly tried to differentiate himself as a person who is not a tribalist. He said, not because I'm from, Grand Crew. Grand Crew is not Liberia. There are other counties, and these corridors that lead to the main cities in our country or business hubs, places like Nimba, Lofa, Grand Jita, and so forth. Those are the roads that we're going to focus on first. We're not going to go because I'm from Southtown or from Grand Crew. We're going to pour the development in Grand Crew. But mistake that Samuel Doe made, that he's trying to rectify as a president that comes from that region. That was excellent. Another thing he said was that Joseph Boyka spent, although he said 60, I think we can all agree, 40 broken years in government, that he couldn't rescue his own home. And the president had to help him. People who live, I have family who live in rehab. And when you pass by Joseph Boyka house, you will not even be able to distinguish it that a former vice president lives here. And the president made that clear. This is not to quote unquote vote Joseph Boyka, but it's to tell you that this is a man who is a poor manager of his finances. And you want to put the country in his hand and give him the entire budget of our nation who can barely manage his own finances. Not a good decision if the Liberian people are thinking about making that. I will give you one concern that I had about this whole, thing that the president, the whole speech in the rally, quote unquote. There was a lot of people there, sure, but the reactions on the people's face, for me, was kind of worrying. Either they were so, taken aback by him, the way he was speaking to them, they were so enthralled by his speech, or they had genuine reservation about what he was saying because there wasn't a lot of cheering, a lot of munya munya. A lot of people were attentive. A lot of people had their arms folded. So definitely, looking at the body English, you can tell that perhaps there was some reservation that a lot of people had about the president, and that's a real thing for those who support this president that we have to look into. What are the people, you know, what are the areas that's paining them, and how can the president rectify that before election, or at least give them a temporary solution to give them hope for the future that the next 6 years will be better off than it was,
3 months.
the past six.
Great.
So those are just some of the few things I saw from the speech, and I will leave it there.
Great. One of the things that the president and the folks in Bassa that I spoke with, they did not want to turn this into a political rally. So this was not a place where they carried the choir and battle cry. No, this was to present to you through our representatives what we think about you, what you have done, and what you're supposed to do for us. So people went to listen. It was not a concert like the previous meetings where you bring all the celebrities and people dance all day, and further people have walked over 5 miles. But that is the picture that the president sent. Not only that, but this morning, the president went to the opposition church, St. John Episcopal Church, the home of Bethel Finley and Dara Dillon and Julia Duncan Cassell. You saw what he did there. So we are talking about Bill Clinton used to say we're going to have a 50-state campaign. We are going to go into their territory. We're going to go into their home, and we're going to shake their wives and their children's hand because their
Every
children.
time they do 50,
So this is where we are with the president. But let's move on to the next topic here. We have to. We got about an hour. We got another show coming up here. We want to be quick. But let's go to number 2 here. Mr. Daniel Chair escorted the president and he endorsed the president This is Daniel Chair, who a few months ago, where Daniel Chair, Louis Brown, Dr. Dewey McIntosh, all these people from the past went and endorsed the Cummings ticket. And it was the big thing about the press conference that all these people, all these so-called heavyweights have come on to endorse Cummings. Few months later, Mr. Chair, Mr. Daniel Chair, had crossed over and said that Bassa does not belong to anybody. Anybody who tells you that Bassa belongs to them, we know we know where that job was going. So here he is now. He said he's confident that this president is the right person for the next 6 years. Mr. Aliu Kamal, let me begin with you. Daniel Chair, I think one of your nephews, because you relate to everybody, you're from every county, every country, from Kenema all the way to Bassa, so you relate to everybody. Talk to me. This man went from the CPP a few months ago. What happened there? Is a divorce or what's happening there? Why CPP can't keep anybody? They just leave it.
Why you didn't keep Besson up in it?
No, excuse me, I'm talking to Mr. Kamara. Mr. Kamara.
No, I gotta get check Benji right there.
Let me unmute you here.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, just stop the muting thing because I realize the problem is not coming from our network.
Okay.
Yeah, the muting thing is giving you a hard time every time, so let's just leave it open. It's baffling as to how hypocritical we can be sometimes as analysts or self-declared pundits. When George Weah says Sastan is not Liberia and therefore he has to focus on the entire country, at the same time says Joseph Boakai was in power for 60 years, he did not build Lofa. Doesn't that sound like a contradiction? Was Joseph Boakai serving Lofa or was he serving Liberia? Oh, so different standard for George Weah, different standard for Joseph Boakai. Is that what it is? Well, somebody just throw words out and say Joseph Boakai cannot manage his own resources. Joseph Boakai, two sons all have master's degree. Joseph Boakai has over 100 employees at his farm in Bombing County.
His two sons cannot be a
we're not talking about Joseph Boakai. We're talking about Cummings and
No. I have to break something out before I go there. Both of Joseph Boakai's sons have masters. All right. Say just quote me, Victor. He has a farm in Bombing County, over 100 employees. Now, one day, have you heard that those employees have not been paid? So George Weah paved the roads to his house. Well, my house on the same highway has no pavement going to my house. So there's a lot of contradiction when you come up with these various statements. Now, what happened with the CPP? Again, I don't want to preach politics of bias. People join political parties and people leave political parties. Gayman McIntosh was with the Unity Party. He had left the NPP. Later on, went and joined CDC. Now he went and joined ANC. Who's to say that Gayman McIntosh would not leave also? Daniel Chair. What is the significance of Daniel Chair? I mean, do you really think Daniel Chair can give Grand Bassa to George Weah? When you have Yombly and Bezonga, who are both the two most higher weight in Grand Bassa County. So, but one thing I give to the whole thing is that George Weah is partly a Bassa man, so he definitely has a stake in there. People must not make this mistake to say when your mother is a certain tribe, you don't have a leverage. The mothers have more connection to the children than the father does. So George Weah is equally a Bassa man. But can Daniel Chair do it? I will not spend my time talking about Daniel Chair leaving the ANC because in the first place, Daniel Chair did not take anything to the ANC and he's not taking anything away from the ANC.
Mr. Gay, here we are we are talking about your ANC, your darling ANC is bleeding, is leaking members. What's going on? Why you guys keep picking on new people and just leave, and the old people kill you? How many folks? What's going on here? Talk to me. Why the dining chair that you were celebrating a few months ago, all of a sudden they didn't even call you, say, honey, I want divorce. They just drop you. What's going on?
If the Bexon got finished, a Grand Bassa who served as a senator of that county, Senate pro tem, served as a foreign minister of the CDC government, left your party, you said nothing, or said you didn't say a word to that effect. Why not come to Mr. Chie, who came on board not even complete 3 months and decide to leave? First of all, Mr. Chie being on the ANC or CPP, it costs us even more explanation. We have to be explaining. So by him leaving for me, I'm happy. I just want to tell you, I am happy because it's a less explanation that I have to do. Because they say, oh, what about this? When they call it war laws, but y'all have the other war law too. Y'all have the other one. So I don't have to justify the other one. I don't even have to make any explanation. He left. God bless him. Thank you for leaving. That's all I have to say to that effect. But for you to come here and say, oh, but people are leaving the ANC. Guess what? The man who served as the president of the country outside of the country, Besson Gafine, because foreign minister is the president of the country outside of the country, left your party. You won't say anything about it. He came to us and endorsed us. His niece is also part of our team and the VSB to our team. 2 powerhouses. And you want to come here and pretend as though ANC is just leaving? Let me say this to you. In Grand Gila County, of all places, CDC not supposed to campaign there. You know what they're doing right now? They are campaigning vigorously for an incumbent in places that support that already being cleaned, your stronghold, and to go campaign in your own stronghold. That says a lot. And I like Elvis for being honest. That these people may have some sort of reservation, and we got to pay keen attention to those things that are happening because their facial expression says a lot. And so, if you can go into your stronghold, do you know what I'm doing in Georgia stronghold? To reduce the percentage. Instead of him winning by 85%, 87%, he can win by 50 or 55%. That is a plus for us. I'm a Southeastern of too. And I can tell you for a fact, he cannot win Maryland. He cannot win River G. These are counties that win for Joshua. In 2017, Maryland will not go Joshua way in 2023. River G will not go Joshua way in 2023. These are packets of votes that added to his 14 county wins and gain that edge. He's not going to get it again. He can't win Grand Bassa. Grand Bassa is part of his car. He cannot win it. He cannot win Maserado. That's all of these things I'm saying to you. Don't take my word for it. Look at the statistics. Look at the voting trend. And look at what is happening. Y'all saw in 2020 in your own backyard. CPP flag you. So the thing is, when you are an incumbent, that certain places is not supposed to be campaigning. Those places are supposed to be your stronghold.
Thank you.
And for you to campaign Grand there, that says a lot.
Mr. Namwe.
You back, man.
Mr. Namwe.
Yes, sir.
We have just like I know you listen to this famous quotation. Houston, we got problem. Houston, we got problem. My friend, the CPP is losing, is bleeding people, members, resources. And I'm glad you said it. We all know that CPP and the ANC is supposed to be an internet party. You just admitted that all this talking you're doing, you are not even registered to vote. Your vote don't count. So I'm glad that you were able to admit that. Now talk to me about the amount of folks that you lose. Why people keep, so they come and smell the roses they left. What's happening?
Okay, well, let me tell you this. The president going to Buchanan, it means Buchanan, we have a problem. I think that's what it means for this CDC. And my brother Anthony just indicated that if you are going to campaign in places that are supposed to be, your strongholds, you have a problem. Secondly, I don't see why Mr. Chia leaving the CPP is newsworthy. Why is it even a point of discussion? It happens. This is a democracy, Jerome. You are free to associate and free not to associate. If Mr. Chia so desires, he can leave the CPP just like he left the NPP and went to the CDC or whatever it is. That's okay. But you have to remember this: the CPP is one of the newest parties on the block. So obviously, some of its members belong to other organizations before, and it is a fact. And if some of them decide that they want to go back home, that is okay too. But Mr. Chia came in to because he felt that what the CPP represents represented his hopes and aspirations. And if he now feels that we do not represent his hopes and aspirations, well, good riddance. I mean, yes, we would love to keep everyone on board because this is the game of numbers. But again, I'll go back to Anthony. I mean, justifying Mr. Chief being on Team Cummings was a real headache. Even though we know he's a good soldier, he's a good strategist, but I don't know if he's a good politician because this man lost to Kanga Lawrence in Bassa. We all know that. And so if he's being called today a prominent son of Bassa, who is supposed to help the CDC deliver Bassa, then I say, Buchanan, we have a problem.
Mr. Eastman.
Yeah.
Usually in top management that you've been, usually we do our own internal control, our own internal evaluation, our own internal audit. If you are a member of a team and your organization keep losing employees at this level, I think it's time for you to call an executive meeting to do an internal audit or bring somebody else from the outside to come and actually tell you what your problem is. Mr. Eastman, it doesn't look good for the CPP.
I think we have to look at the individual. If you were to ask people who right now they in the various parties, what is your political conviction? I'm not asking you who you're voting for or what you believe in or which candidate you're supporting. No. As a person, an individual, what is your political conviction? They wouldn't even be able to answer that question. You see? So when I see the cross-carpeting, people jumping from party to party, it appears that they don't have a political conviction, because when you have a political conviction, you stay true to that. Okay? And you may be dissatisfied with the results when you go through an election. But the thing is, you still have those beliefs. You still have those values. So I've seen people elected from one political party. By the time they get into the legislature, they go to the opposition or they go to the ruling party. That tells me they had no conviction at all. So when this jumping around, it's underscoring that we are not really convicted of certain beliefs. What are values? I think we all need to revisit that. What are the values that we support? What is the UP system of values that they support? What is CPP system of values that they support? I'm not talking about just criticizing, oh, there's corruption, oh, you don't have roads, where the economy's bad, there's no jobs, drugs, delinquency, no health. I'm not asking for your criticism. But what are the values you think we should espouse and promote? Because if we're not doing that, if we start promoting the right values, those things fall in line. But we haven't we're trying to put the cart before the horse. Let's develop our values. Let's develop a system, things that we believe in. Then we will see where we gravitate to. For right now, we'll just people. We'll find this Bella-driven politics, the rule of the day, wherever. And some people like to be winners. If you see this man doesn't have a chance, I was in somewhere yesterday. Said, yeah, we would like to vote for Cummings, but he doesn't have a chance. I said, but what are your convictions? So even if you lose, if you stay true to your convictions, you've made a point. So you hear them talking about it's a wasted vote. I don't believe in wasted vote. I believe in staying true to self, no matter what, no matter who and that's how I like to see most of. But today, it's just Bella driven.
Thank you. Elvis, here we are. The objective of the opposition, I know in the United States, we all see this. We say third party can never make a difference in this country. You're either a Democrat or a Republican. And Ross Perot came in one day and did damage, and everybody blamed him for the loss of George Bush to Bill Clinton. Is this what we are going on here in Liberia, that anything besides the two heavyweight, the Unity Party and the CDC, they're basically wasting their time? Should they wait around and see whether this thing is going to take a hold? But why? How do you wait when people that come and they see you and they leave, they come and they see you and leave, that you are not a winning candidate, you don't have the chance, you don't. So what does a Cummings do?
Thank you, Mr. Gayman. There's that old saying that politics is about interests, and more so in Liberia, it's not about political convictions; it's about interests. And having said that, Daniel Chair is only seeking his interests. But I would agree with people from the other side that kind of downplay his endorsement of the CDC. In my calculations, Daniel Chair is a political non-entity. He's not somebody who has any sort of significant political sway in our body politics. So I think him, endorsing the CDC doesn't add much to the CDC. In my own conviction, I would think it actually hurts the CDC, because people like Donald Chair, who have a checker past, so to speak, should be retired from political activities in our country. If we're not going to prosecute them, let them be on the sideline and be absent from our politics. But there's somebody like Anthony Gay who was talking about how you don't campaign in your own stronghold. It's like a man who is married to a woman and you don't perform your natural obligations as a husband. You don't buy your wife flowers. You don't tell her you love her. You don't do all the nice things that you're supposed to do. Very soon you'll be a divorced man. So President Weir is not a stupid politician. He knows you have to, you have to do the things that will make the woman happy, so to speak, in a political sense. So he's going back to his people, his grassroots, his base, to make sure that they're happy with him, to make sure that he reaffirmed his commitment to them. We saw what happened with Hillary Clinton here. She decided to, forego one or two states, thinking that it was already in the bag, and she lost it. So election is, everybody is there for the taking. You have to win people over again and again. There's no such thing as a static, political base. You have to add more people, and some, those who are disenchanted, you have to reassure them. So the president campaigning in places like Grand Gidel in the southeast is not, it's not something that he shouldn't be doing. Only smart politicians would do that. People who have this arrogance about them and this hubris would think that they're so popular they don't need to go and campaign in the quote unquote strongholds. So for me, Donald Chair is a political non-entity. I don't think it's big news. And then lastly, to Mr. Kamara, look, if you're not trying to change the narrative that Joseph Boyka is this wealthy man, hey, it's news to us, because we always hear him crying poverty, that he don't have money, he's living on loans. You see the decrepit, condition of his house. Maybe even your house in Liberia. I haven't seen it, Mr. Kamara, but maybe it's even in a better condition than Joseph Boyka's house in a rehab. So if you're telling us that Joseph Boyka is a wealthy man, he has over 100 employees, he can pay them every, on time, and they're never complaining about, their wages. Hey, then we know that Joseph Boyka has been lying to us, that he's actually a very wealthy man, as Charles Bronstein said, and he's been trying to crack poverty. So he's a liar. If you're saying that to us today, Mr. Kamar, Joseph Boyka is a liar. He's very wealthy, but he's claiming to be poor. So thank you for giving us that news. I'll leave it there.
Dennis, can I just come in for a second, Jerome?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Let me say this to my young brother Elvis, and probably to the rest of the people out there who might be thinking like him. In politics, you have your base, and then you have the undecided, and then there is the opposition. If I get up and ask my wife to endorse me because I'm running for a position and I spend a whole day preparing for that, that's a day wasted when I should be talking to people who I know wouldn't have otherwise voted for me. And so when we say the president has his base, we know he has his 38% locked in, but we know 38% does not give you the majority to win. And maybe this is why this president is spending so much time getting re-endorsed by people like Akaros Gray and the like. But I must tell you this. Analytics tell you where you need to focus, where you have the problems. That's where you go to spend your energy and resources. Because those are the people you need to win, people to add on to your base. But you cannot keep energizing. You can't keep going back to your base. That is wasted resources. I just wanted to put that in. So we know the CPP, they call it the 7%, and we know that. And I always say here on the show, this is why we work the hardest. Because we know we have an uphill task. And I keep telling you people, come October 10, people will be shocked. I'll leave it there.
Great.
10 seconds, please, Mr. Gayman. 10 seconds. And in that same token, Mr. Namwe, like Mr. Eastman said, I don't mean we should rest on our laurels. We as CDC or president, we understands that politics, is a fast changing game. Numbers don't stay the same. So, like I said in my statement, he has to go in there and reassure those who are disenchanted. There are people who are who leave the base. People don't stay because you have 38%. That means it's going to stay there forever.
But you have your base already increasing. You just added Daniel Chia to your base, right?
Oh, no. You're not going to fool us with that false praise, Mr. Namwe. The president is smarter than that.
Mr. Elvis,
yes.
Mr. Morris, let me make it clear here. Let me make it clear because Daniel Chia and Daniel Chia's mother and my father, they are two sister and brother. So I am closely related to his actually a first cousin, even though he and I disagree on the wall. And for almost 20 years, he and my uncle Tom over you, we didn't actually converse. We call it cut speech because we disagree on the wall. But I know him, and Daniel Chia has a loyal following in the LAC section of Liberia. That was the NPPFL stronghold where they were headquartered. So this going election, when you're talking about, there's a young man in the race, that's going to be going for re-election called, I think he's the representative from number 3 district, number 3, that is in that district. That's the LAC area. That boy got into the race between Bezoga and Yobli Kanga. Strategically, somebody put him in the race, and he garnered 8,200 votes. And Yobli Kanga won that seat by 2,000 votes. This is Vincent Willie. So you cannot underestimate the NPFL or the NPP's role in these areas. And so what politicians need to understand, when Bill Clinton said we are going to do 50 states, it included the blue states. So what I'm saying here is the second term around, remember, President Weah does not have to win 14 counties. All he needs is 50 plus 1.
How do you pull that off?
Well, listen, if we all agree that he got a third of the vote already.
You don't have a third of the vote. You only have 30%. It's not a third of the vote.
I take 30% to start, to use 0. So here we are. If I need only 21% to win, 20% actually plus 1, we are doing a lot of investment in Nimba, in Bong, in Lofa, and other places. If you say we can't get 21% between those 4 candidates, then that's it. But anyhow, this is where we are when we talk about political calculations in the war room. Nobody's going to win 14 counties anymore in Liberia, but somebody's going to win 50 plus one, and I like our chances. Let's go to our second to the last because we got to be out of here in
Well,
time.
Mr. Gilman,
Yeah.
Mr. Gilman, let me ask you one question because it's more philosophical. But a lot of people, or some systems, I should say, they are of the type: if we elect you, if our party supports you, and you get elected to a position in the legislature, and then you should decide now to go to another party. That party can reclaim that seat and put one of their people there.
That's
In
right.
other words, if you're going to have shifting political ideas, then you're no longer representing us. We got a right to remove you from that position.
Well, one of the
And
things
Mr. Eastman, you raise a valid point, but part
Yeah.
of the reason why these things are happening in Liberia is because of poverty. Most of these people don't have jobs. So these politicians are their source of income. And so they hope that when they put these guys there, they will be getting little chunks back so they can sustain themselves. And the politicians also are using this opportunity against the will of the people, not creating opportunity for job creation, for foreign investment into the country. And that's the reason why from year after year, century after century, our country being run this way. Because politicians will always keep the people where they are and give them little handout. You will find out many bag of rice now will be distributed in months to come, in few days, in few weeks. Because some of them have now even visited our own constituents almost 9 years. Then now they're going to go back now to get them a little bit of food, a little bit of here and there, bundles in here and there, just to help them. And keeping the people in the same condition. That's the reason why they continue to fight Mr. Cummings, because Mr. Cummings is saying, listen, you don't have to live this way. I don't even need a presidential salary. All I need you to do is to believe in my vision, and we'll take this country where each and every person will have an opportunity to a job.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to On Point. If it's 4 o'clock on Sunday, we are here. We are discussing issue. Please share this show. Now, let's go to one of the hottest topics in Liberia now. They're shutting down Osborne TV. And I will start with you, Mr. Aliu Kamara. Let me unmute you here. We don't want you to be a spectator here. We want you to talk. You see, you got that. That flip phone. I don't jive with our people. You got that. You brought us.
Now you say we're not getting enough time. Ask the question here.
The question is, this phone TV shutting down. There was a leak.
Mute him until you ask the question, Mr. Gayman.
Okay, hold on. Because we got to work with this. Okay, there was a legal proceeding here, and I got Mr. Spoon himself today, and I will play that clip where he believed judicially they made an error. That means they should have tackled this thing from day one. They took it for granted and it backfired. He said, finally, our legal team is on it. But the political side of this, the people are saying it is the government that shut it down. It is the government that shut it down. So some of us are glad to hear from Mr. Spoon himself that the legal process, his legal team did not follow this thing through. And this is where they are. So the question is, why are people saying this is a government operation as opposed to a legal system?
Okay, am I unmuted now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you very much. First of all, let me actually put something to rest before I go on to that topic, which is very important. George Weah got 30%, 38%. All of that is myth. George Weah got those percentage between 28 to 38% because he had Neighbor County, he had Monserrado County, he had Bunk County, he had Margibi County, and he had most of the Bassa Belt. Yet, he did not cross 38%. As we speak, George Weah does not have Monserrado County, and he's fully aware of that. As we speak, Joshua does not have Grand Bassa County, and Joshua is cognizant. Joshua definitely is not going to spend a lot of resources in Nimba County because he understands the ramification of doing that. How can Joshua even have 25% as we speak? He doesn't. So Joshua is in the hole, and he knows it. That's why he's coming out swinging. Okay, so let's establish that. Yeah, Arizona Cummings is 7%, but he's no longer 7%. Arizona Cummings would draw no less than 10% in these elections. His trouble has been Taiwan Gongo. But let's get to your question about Spoon. Listen, Spoon has his problem. On the surface, we all understand it's a legal problem. We'll let the issue, work itself out. He's not deterred. He's not worried about it. He's still moving on. Spoon Network is still all over the country. Well, not Spoon Network necessarily, but his Spoon Talk program is still heard all over the country. And we are of the conviction that his network would come back up. The reason why people are drawing the government's leg into this situation is because the situation is not important enough to warrant the action that was taken by the court. People say, "Oh, he was a citizen that took Spoon Network to court." It wasn't just a citizen; it was a government official. A government official should be suing any citizen for defamation, especially when it comes to their function or accusation about their function. He cannot win this case. I don't know what delinquency led to the action taken by the court on the part of Spoon Network. I don't know. The only thing I can tell you is that Spoon has said that he did not receive any communication from any court binding him to submit anything. So the action by the court was arbitrary. That is Spoon's stand. And that's the stand that we all will go with. If what he's saying is true, I think the entire thing was politically motivated. That's where I stand.
Mr. Eastman, we have here a court order, a summon, a case that started August in 2022 that the gentleman took for granted. Court did what said, never attended, lawyer never showed up. In this country, in any democratic country, in a legal system, if someone sues you and you don't go to contest, to counter what the person says, basically means consent, and the judge is going to render you guilty with fines and penalties. Politicians want to spin it, but this one, everything should be based on fact, evidence. We had the evidence that this case had been going since August 2022. And finally, the judge came up with a decision. And politicians want to say it is political. We know this is a political season, but they are saying it is political. Your take?
The closure of Spoon Networks was the instrument used to do that was a writ of attachment, and which is a perfectly legal document. And this case has been pending for some months, as you explained. And Spoon TV has been operating as normal. So I just, in my opinion, it's taking its course, and that's why it was eventually closed. But I'm reading a press union, the PUL, the Press Union of Liberia, making a statement said that the action is arbitrary and intimidating. They could look at it as barbaric and harsh, and undermines the democratic values and progress made. And this is the Press Union of Liberia making these statements. And I don't really buy that. I don't buy that because this court process has been going on for some time, just like you said, and there were summons given. Now, the writ is one of the instruments people use to make sure that the defendant is capable or will pay the plaintiff whatever he's due. Now, I can't say this was government motivated. I think it's unfair to say that this was government made. It came at a time where, Spoon TV had completely leaned to the VP, the former VP. It came at a time where you can see that they're going after and criticizing the government. I think it's more of a coincidence. I do not think this was a directly a government mechanism or government strategy to close TV for any reason. They've been allowed to say what they want for, and they've been doing it for months. So I think it's a bit unfair, and I wonder why TUL thinks this is a attack on democracy when we can still hear Spoon TV all over the network and elsewhere in Liberia. So I disagree with it.
Thank you. Mr. Gay, let's listen briefly to what Spoon himself said here, and then maybe we'll give you a little background here. Let me see.
Something with the audio, man.
So good lawyers are in place. I respect the judicial system. The law will be the law. Nobody will come here with a tabata. Nobody should come and talk nonsense. No one. I would never ever be afraid. Never ever. When my legal trouble came upon me, people said, "Oh, see, go sit down. Don't talk." It was me. They never wanted me to talk. But the day will come, I will speak about a legal issue, Frank. "Oh, see, go sit down. We beg you, don't talk. Change your name. Change the radio station. The radio station, that you can respond, take your picture down." How dare you? You've been compromised. But again, I will say to everyone, let justice be done to all men. And we remain in pardon.
Justice.
Anyone on the street, I will not call anyone to demonstrate, to protest, because the law will be the law and we will see through. And Spoon Network will be up shortly. The radio station will be on shortly. The Liberian people will hear the truth, nothing but the truth, so help us, oh God. We are in a troubled time, and we will stand firm. We will be above the fray. Whether the opposition political party wishes us well, whether opposition political party wishes us well, listen, folks, you know me. I care less what people say about me. Me as an individual. Don't tell me. Those that will call you and talk to your friend, they go on Facebook and write something up, I care less. Because my mission, my goal is to satisfy the Liberian people. The mother that gave him birth but dying, no medication, she cannot even reach to the hospital. That market women that go in the market, nobody can buy her food. That student that continue to go to school and cannot graduate. That person that's sick right now in the hospital cannot leave because they cannot afford the hospital bill. That child is going to bed hungry right now. And only dirty water they can drink. Those are the people we are fighting for. The men that have to do a security job every night. Wash somebody's cars. Open somebody's gate. Those are the people we are fighting for. I could have sat down here in America and said, thank God for my family and myself. I care less. What good will it do me, my people? This time is season for everything. We have come too far for us to let go. Less than 90 days to election. It can come any which way. But we will be strong. We will fight the good fight. We will overcome the temptation. We will overcome the trials. Because God is on our side. And God is on the side of Liberians. I said, thank you, Fagon. Thank you, Mo Ali. Thank you, Al Hussein. Thank you, Matt Gono. Thank you, Gibson Jeru. Thank you, Abula Mame. Thank you, Dr. Richardson. Thank you, Aaron Remy Gray. Thank to all of our wonderful producers. Thank to the network. Thank to millions to the Liberian people.
And he said, he said, my supporters wanted to do a 1990. Those of you who were in Liberia, I don't know what 1990 means. I don't know what was 1990. But he told them, he said they were coming in pickup trucks from everywhere to do a 1990.
Prince Johnson killed Doe in 1990. So maybe they were going to go capture the president and kill him on camera. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say.
So this is a man who says his legal team is now handling this, and he believes in the judicial system, and he believes in the rule of law. Not once did he say, I didn't get the information. We didn't get the information. Okay? So, Nangwe.
Mr. Gilman, before we go to Nangwe, 1 minute, I briefly. And I want to answer a Numopo Tia Guba. And he asked a very question. He said, did I get my envelope? As far as I'm concerned, it's coincidental that the writ was issued at that time. But the real problem, let's start going to the core and the root of the problem. I think the young brother Elvis mentioned it. That guy had no right to even say he was suing Spoon, because what Spoon TV did was reiterate what the LACC came up with in their investigation. On what grounds is he now suing? They should have thrown the case out.
No, listen to this. You didn't follow the case.
Okay.
The case was on Spoon TV. Spoon fabricated many of the stories. For one, he says there were accounts in the articles to which this guy was transferring money, and they actually produced a fake account. And when the lawyer asked EcoBank whether there was such an account, how much was transferred, they should produce it. EcoBank told them that there is no such account. And the bank in the article said that account doesn't exist. So based on all of these allegations, the man lost his job because he was in litigious. Okay? And when you're doing that kind of job, you can't have that cloud hanging over you and the president let him go. And then at the end, they will find that everything was false. So yes, the LNCC report is just an indictment. You cannot use an indictment to call somebody a criminal. To be criminal, the person has to face the court, be fully adjudicated and found guilty. So everything has to be alleged. So you cannot use the LACC's report. Those of you who have been to top management, when they do an audit and they find something wrong with your organization, they give you time to respond. Your team and their team sit together and you reconcile to prove that this person is wrong and that. If you say my numbers are not right, Mr. Gayman, send us supporting documentation that will say you did this, you got about 30 or 60 days to do so. If you can't do so, if you need to be persecuted, it will be turned over to the Justice Department. It will persecute you. So, yeah, go ahead. Somebody want to interject.
Yeah. No, I didn't get the way in on this matter.
Yeah, go ahead.
So,
I think you were.
Yeah, it was Mr. Nangwe's time. Let's be concise, Mr. Gilman. We're running out of time.
Mr. Nangwe, excuse me, Mr. Nangwe. Mr.
Gay. I'm sorry.
Anthony, I'll give you a minute in a moment. You know, this is an old head, so I don't want to forget quickly, Jerome. Let me also mention that Alex Smith, who was the central corroborating witness in most of this stuff that Standard and Spoon TV was spinning, from this litigious case to the City Hall case and all of that. Alex Smith is on record apologizing to
Alex Williams.
Alice Williams.
Williams.
Alice
But
Williams.
they are different people. One
Yes,
is
Alice Williams. I'm sorry. He's on record. So, like I said previously, this case is in court. I think we should let the court process play out. I think the press union and the vice president coming out with such powerful statements in defense of the Spoon TV, to me, I think that the defense is premature. I think they're jumping the gun. We also, I can tell you, I watch Spoon TV whenever I can, and lately, over the past 6 months or so, I can't regard Spoon TV as being a neutral press agency in the political space. They have openly come out and they have endorsed Joseph Boakai for his election campaign. They make that no secret. So they are not impartial in this process. And so let's not forget that they are impacting the process. Now, if they are going to do that, then first of all, they're not an independent press. Two, they have to be made to understand that what they are doing carries an impact that impacts the process. And they have to be careful doing it. I think they're very flippant with the allegations. You know, they are quick on accusing people without providing substantial, facts to back up whatever accusations they are lobbing. That is the problem I have with them. They do bring a lot of information, and some of it is quite true at times. But there are times when I think they're very callous and very playful with the evidence they are presenting. And these pieces of information they are putting forth, they actually impact other people's lives. This guy lost his job at Lisgis. Now, I don't know him. I don't know who he is, but you have to remember, this is a human being who is the breadwinner of a whole family. And he was thrown out of job because of some of the reasons. It may not have been the primary reason, but I'm sure some of the contributing reasons were what was reported on Spoon TV, which turned out to be suspect. So thank you. I just wanted to throw that in.
Mr. Gayman, let me go next. I'll be quick, Gay can come in. I would say this: one of the key things in defamation cases, it's not even that what you say is not true. If you believe it to be true, sometimes you can get away with it. But what is damning is if you make up something out of whole cloth, you just make it up and you fabricate it with the aim of damaging somebody's reputation or harming them in terms of the employment or in monetary, ways. And that's what Spoon did. Let's not forget, Stanton Witherspoon is not a paragon of morality. He's a deeply immoral person or amoral person. So when he comes here and try to say that he didn't get the summons or for his lawyers to represent him or respond to the case, that's a lie. We know that because we read about this story in Front Page Africa, that this guy was suing for such an absurd amount of money. We all thought that this case wouldn't go anywhere. In my first analysis, I said that if Stanton would have shown up with his lawyers, somebody who claims to be wealthy, although his money is ill-gotten, he has the lawyers in Liberia to go represent him, and he was nonchalant and cavalier about it. That by default, this guy won the judgment. And I think one of the turning point in the case was he could prove that there was evidence or claim that Stanton Witherspoon made that was completely fabricated, and that deeply damaged his reputation, caused him to lose his job. So there was monetary damage that was caused to him, and I think that's why the court awarded him that that verdict. But again, I think Stanton going to court with his lawyers, his team of lawyers, he may have a good chance of overturning the verdict because I think, defamation is a slippery slope. There's some technicalities he can get away with. But if he actually fabricated, information and it can be proven that he fabricated it, I think that's, that's the nail in the coffin. And let us not forget, Ben Sanvi, Kev Hassan, the guys who left Spoon said that one of the reasons they left is because Stanton was fabricating information and presenting it to the public as true information. And I think somebody like Rodney Sear is complicit in this regard because he was the one that was facilitating some of these documents for Stanton. When you used to have Rodney Sear on every other week or so to bring certain documents or bank accounts and phone records and things like that. So he got too comfortable with that idea and he thought he could fabricate it and try to implicate this guy in corruption. I'm sure that guy is actually probably corrupt, but fabricating information and then presenting it to the public is probably what did him in. So I will leave it there.
Mr. Gay, as you come in, like Mr. Eastman was alluding to, have you just gone to court and dealt with this when it happened? It wouldn't have gone anywhere, but by fronting the court, this judicial system, not even showing up. I mean, how disrespectful can you be when you say you are a student and a politician and a respecter of law? Okay, and then you don't even show. You're on the docket. You didn't even show up, and then they render against you, and you say it's political. Go ahead.
That's a gross negligence. I mean, nobody's above the law. We saw the former vice president show up to court to testify. Hey, listen, no one is above the law. Here's the thing where, sometimes I try to, be too lenient on people. Stanton is not a journalist, so I cannot, hold you accountable of SPJ Code of Ethics of Journalism. It's free on Google. You can Google that, SPJ Code of Ethics of Journalism. But he's not a journalist, so I cannot hold him up to that standards. Second thing I will say here, I mean, he's not that ignorant to not know that if somebody is not found guilty, you don't call them criminal. I mean, that is just so elementary. You're supposed to know. If the person is not convicted, they are not a criminal. They can be criminal indictee just like himself, but I cannot call Stanton a criminal. I'll call you a criminal indictee because he has been indicted by the federal system here. However, if a person is on an allegation or any investigation, they are presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond reasonable doubt in the court of competent jurisdiction. That is a process. That is a due process. For many people, as soon as today you will hear people calling Musa Belede criminal. Has he been convicted? Absolutely not. Again, but here's the thing we're doing Liberia very well is that when something is not part of us or is not in our camp, we have a different standard for that particular thing. And if that thing is on the other side, we have a different standard. And in our own circumstances, when Mr. Cummings or taking the court for the CPP document, they're saying Stanton. After the fact, after the verdict was given, that the case was dismissed, still called Mr. Cummings a criminal. So these guys now he will profess and hide behind the Bible and talk about the law is the law, and let justice prevail. All the different things. God will see me through all of that. You can. The Bible said, not every person that say law will inherit the kingdom of God anyway. So I'm not here to judge you. I don't have the power to say you're not going to heaven. But let's just be clear. Just face the law, and that's it. Look, you can't be defiant, right? Have your lawyer represent you. If you don't understand that, that's what you have money you can afford to hire an attorney. Let them represent you. But to be defiant, to be dismissive of the law, to neglect, a summon from the court, that is up to you. So whether or not this is a political move or what not people call it, Stanton had an opportunity to address this issue, and he neglected the opportunity that he had. I mean,
Mr. Gayman, let's be fair to our viewers. Let's give him the last 10 minutes to call in, please. This is a big show. Let's get the people a chance to call.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, okay. Well, if Mr. John is here, we'll give him the opportunity. We can't call unless you wanted to call you personally and then you put them on. But if Mr. John is there, please open the line. Let's go through the final. Let's give the final subject here about 5 minutes of our time, and then spend 15 minutes on calls. The final piece here is Joseph Boakai's visit to Ghana. I think last week, Mr. Kamara, I told you this thing wasn't going away, even though you tried to shield it as much as you can. You attempted to say the man was in flight and they waved him down and he landed in Ghana, went to this meeting, and that's not so. Mr. Costa said the flight was arranged, prepaid, all expense paid. He left Monrovia, and an hour and a half later, he was in Ghana, where he went to Kotokai airport and all that, the hotel name and everything. So, Mr. Eastman, this supposed 30 million thing is not going away. And Joseph Boakai thing, by letting Laser Dawn lie means it's going to go away, but it's not going away. What should Joseph Boakai do to make sure that this thing go away? Because it's like an albatross. It's around his neck.
Yeah, this one really will have some delicate handling. And I would like to see him come out and make a definitive statement about this meeting, what it was and what it's not. He's leaving too much room for speculation. What his son described them as businessmen. Well, they were foreign businessmen, and then his son, from what I'm reading, did say that there was actually 30 million in the discussion.
Yep.
That is a
Confirm that.
significant amount of money. And no businessman is going to invest that amount of money for nothing. So what was on the table? They claimed that he said the Wallagizi amount was not offered, but then something had to be on the table. We've been in negotiations before. There's a lot of cloudiness about this whole situation, and if the VP doesn't come out and make a clarification, well, then we will know that this is, again, we're going back, we're doing the same thing, where people do things in shady ways, and we expect them to improve the country. Nobody who is shady, nobody who's doing all these funny deals and can't come up with the truth is going to improve the country. Because to improve the country, you have to be very straightforward. You have to be anti-corruption, anti-shady deals. And if you're participating in these shady deals, you're not going to be the one to improve to help the country. Not at all. So that if he doesn't come out and say something, then Liberians should beware, as they say, buyer beware.
Mr. Nangwe, your take on the 30 million, supposedly 30 million. Costa said Waka went, he flew from Monrovia, everything prepaid. When hour and a half he was in Ghana, the hotel, the airport, and everything else. You think the vice president should address this or let it linger on?
I really honestly believe, and I believe I stated this previously, that I think the vice president should do more than the brief, statement that he issued, that he forgives, his son Costa. I think this is a pretty significant case, like Mr. Eastman indicated. $30 million in the political space is a lot of money, and the vice president touts himself as an integrated person, someone with clean hands. And for an allegation of this magnitude, I don't think they should just wish that it will go away by itself. I think he should really come on and face it and address it, because Mr. Costa is in his statement. He named names, he named places, he named times, he names dates. Those are, to me, those are points of data that add up to facts. And Mr. Aliu indicated that the vice president did not leave Liberia to go and attend this meeting. He was coming from somewhere. He just stopped over. Fair enough. I think if he did that, then they should say so and release his travel documents, his travel records, so that we can. But I think it will continue to linger and probably fester and grow more legs the longer they leave it to percolate in the space. And I think they're not doing themselves any favors. I mean, for us in the CPP, we're not gonna we'll let them deal with it. But for whatever it's worth, I think they should. It's difficult to believe, and it is difficult not to believe because of the facts that are being put out there because of the allegations that are put out there by Mr. Costa. So I think they should deal with it.
Mr. Gay, if you were advising the former vice president now on this, what would you say in 1 minute, please?
Listen, the first thing we heard from the national chairman of the Unity Party, Mr. Luther Tappet, or Reverend Tappet, I should say, let me give me his title, that this meeting never happened. That everything that Costa said was a lie. He dismissed the whole press conference by Costa. And then suddenly, after a few hours, the son of the former vice president Joseph Boakai Jr. came out to confirm that indeed he himself was in that meeting in Ghana. That indeed the $30 million was there, but it was not about the Wulogisi Mountain, right? So again, what really stood out to me is like some people, or maybe the executive of the United Party, may have not been aware of what was happening, because those people that was named that went to that meeting, none of them are executive of the Unity Party. It's Mr. Boakai, his son, and few family members. So, I mean, this is even getting bigger in their own party, that they were, blindsided by the whole circumstances. Now, in a negotiation, $30 million is not a small money. What was being presented? What was the circumstances behind the $30 million? That is yet to be determined. And so now we know that the meeting did take place. Now we know that $30 million was involved. Now we know that, yes, the place that the meeting was taking place was named. We know which hotel, which room, and all of the different things. They did in time. Costa gave all of those information. None of them have come out to debunk any of these things. All we saw former Vice President Joseph Boakai did was to downplay the circumstances by calling Costa his son, and he has room for Costa here. That is not the point. First of all, we're looking at the campaign finance violation. How can foreigner in article influence our election? You're doing business with foreigners just to influence our election. This is very serious. And when people get thinking that, oh, it should go away, no, it's not going to go away. Does he have to address the issue? Absolutely, yes. He must address this issue and put it away.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if Mr. Ja is back there, we'll take some calls. If not, we are reading some of the comments.
I didn't get my chance to weigh on this issue, Mr. Gayman. Let me get
I'm sorry,
my
sir.
30
Go
seconds.
ahead, and then Mr. Aliu Kamara will be the last, and then we'll go to some comments. We got 8 minutes here. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, quickly. I just want to say, I mean, I'm not going to make a mountain out of a molehill or anthill. The reality is the meeting was insignificant in the grand scheme of things. What I think the Liberian people have to look at is the lack of due diligence on the part of Joseph Boakai. He didn't investigate who these people were. He didn't ask sufficient questions to know what they wanted from him, and he took that meeting. So I think people who are looking at Joseph Boakai to be our next president should look at his decision making. One of the same problems we have with Cummings is something that we can also ascribe to Joseph Boakai, his lack of decision making, his lack of investigating before taking action. The reality here is he should have never been to that meeting. He should have first done his due diligence to inquire about what these people wanted from him, what they were expecting from the meeting. He should have a meeting of the minds to know what you want me to do, what I expect from you, what you expect from me, what's going to be the outcome, what am I giving, what are you giving. So for him to just take a meeting on the whims as a person who is a potential president of our country is unbecoming of him as a former vice president, and somebody who's looking to be the executive of our country. So for me, I think people, potential voters should look at it as Joseph Boakai is a man who is desperately in need of money for his campaign and for other personal reasons. And people like that are always easy to compromise. So Joseph Boakai and this whole idea of being clean hands is not true. He used his son and his nephew as plausible deniability that he didn't take any money, but they would take the money on his behalf and then funnel it to him in other ways. That's how it's always been. That's why he can always say that he has clean hands, because he funneled these monies through his sons and his nephew. I'll leave it at Mr. Gayman. Thank you for having me on the show today.
Mr. Gayman, 30 seconds. He implicated Mr. Cummings, and I will not sit on this platform and allow him to get
Oh my man, there's no time for argument. We won't get a caller.
He just said that
I'm a prolific caller on this network, so I always advocate for
Okay,
callers.
guys,
So
1 minute.
please, if the people can call, let it call.
We got a caller. Caller, your name, where you calling from?
Yeah, call. But I will readdress that issue. You're not going to walk away free.
We're not hearing the caller, Mr. Gayman. You got to put him on speaker, maybe.
Your name and where you calling from?
Put it to your phone microphone.
My name is Dr. Kamal Mulaba.
Huh?
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I understand all what you're talking about, but election results are based on data integrity.
are we doing anything about the data that's going to be determining the result of the elections? How credible they will be?
Thank you very much. We expound on that. Gentlemen, I think we discussed this prior. We talk about the new system that is being put in place, and we discussed that in depth. It was done in Nigeria, other places. It had worked in other area. It didn't work in other area. It did a little more better in Sierra Leone than it did in Nigeria, but they say it worked perfectly in Ghana. So people are concerned about the technology, the efficacy of it, which is a legitimate concern for everybody because it's new to us. But gentlemen, we got 5 minutes here. Your closing statement, my man. Address this in 1 minute, Mr. Gates, so we can move on.
Yeah, but before I close that, give me 30 seconds. Let me respond to everything.
Yeah, that's what I'm
This is
saying.
what I
Yes.
do best.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
can't sit on this platform and ever throw a jab about political leader.
Well, I mean,
and act as
you
though
know we
you're
are
one of
toadies,
them.
right? We are toadies.
talk
Don't be
about
attacking me on this show.
decision
We're
making.
brothers, bro.
I'm not attacking you. I'm not attacking you. You said Mr. Cummings had the same poor decision making like Mr. Joseph Numa Bwaka. I heard you very clearly. And that's one of the reasons why when I'm on platform, I pay attention.
Go ahead.
So you gotta name some of the decision making talking about because a man who was the second person in a multi-billion-dollar corporation and served in that capacity for 8 consecutive years and you the results does not have poor decision making.
So
And
what
you're
happened?
seeing his
What
political
happened?
career
What
has
happened?
been very successful.
Politically, his association.
But politically, we
Mr.
are
Gay,
politically, we are
Mr. Gay, real quick, what happened to the $70,000 that he put in somebody's pickup truck? Is that a good decision by a CEO?
We did not put in somebody pickup truck. You know, you're not telling the truth. It was not put in somebody pickup truck, Mr. Gayman. You saw the individual
Somebody
was
took it and put it in
apprehended
a pickup truck.
and your government failed to prosecute the individual. Mr. Cummings is not a law enforcement officer, but the individual was apprehended and brought to the country. Turn over to
Mr. Kamara, your closing
you
remarks.
understand?
Man, these CDC people, man, how you just knock your brother off like that?
I want to close by saying
Uh-huh.
yes, because they come here to try to throw jab. Mr. Cummings have been very steadfast and have been navigating the Liberian political system and bringing a different trajectory to our political spectrum, wherein you don't have to do the same thing that the people are doing to have the same result, right? So guess what? Right now in Liberia, Mr. Cummings was able to go through all of the rigorous throwing jab, calling you name and everything, and today he's in the position, solid position where he's in today, and he will be the next president of Liberia. If you are making poor decisions, they see this ANC will not be the fastest growing political party in Liberia, will not be well structured and have a CPP today that is well structured. We are well structured in every country, any political party right now in Liberia, and so you cannot come here to come talk about making poor decisions. Mr. Cummings has changed the Liberian political dynamics.
You're going over 2 minutes. Okay, thank you. Mr. Eastman, your closing, please.
Come here, throw job and talk about making poor decision making. John made a better decision than Mr. Cummings.
Mr. Eastman, your turn.
As you can see, election season is coming. We're going to see a lot of jabbing and bickering and fussing and fighting. My problem is the country is not moving anywhere. Since 1980, we've seen a decline. And what is this decline due to? The decline is due to our not being able to build on what we have. All this talk is not yielding results. And until we come together and be constructive in our interaction and not belly-driven, Liberia suffers. Liberia continues to suffer. I tell you, I first initiated, I initially wrapped my arms around this CDC government administration, I should say, because they were a grassroots organization. They could reach the roots. They have so much leverage, and you kind of wonder why we don't use the leverage. They could have campaigns, clean up Monrovia campaign, grow your food. They could have so many campaigns people will follow, but our politics is just driven for belly driven. I'd like to. I hope that whatever outcomes in September, we will see Liberia rise from where we are today.
Thank you. Mr. Kamara, I know I've been keeping you. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You're closing.
Yeah, yeah. I hope this cannot be a permanent style. I hate to be imprisoned, so I hope we're not going to do this next Sunday.
Good for us.
Uh,
At least we get a chance to talk.
At least, yeah.
Go ahead, Aliu.
Okay, let me just, can I, you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead. Okay. You know, first of all, let me just say the court decision, the whole attachment nonsense was overboard. This case should have had no merit because the man in question was a government official. For someone to say that this thing is not politically motivated, then they must understand the beginning, the source of this thing. Samuel 12 was accused of being someone who was collaborating with Mr. Smith of this thing. What Stanton has is something from whistleblower. There is a law against censoring of people in the media. Whistleblower do not commit crimes anymore. Okay, so he's only giving the information that he has. Now, was it right for him to have ignored the courts? If he did, it would be wrong. But he said he never got anything from the court. And I go with what he says. Now, the issue of Joe Walker, I know you try to jump over me with that, but I will close on it. Joseph Juma Walker shall make no official comment responding to what Henry Costa said, regardless of how ANC will push this, how much they and their sympathizers may push this. Joseph Walker will focus on the pressing issues, the economy, how to protect the people of Liberia, the health system of Liberia, protecting the borders of Liberia, bringing Liberia back amongst the Committee of Nations. That would be Joseph Walker's focus. Whether there was a $30 million somewhere, whether there was a businessman somewhere, Joseph Walker would not be interrogated, and he owes no one any explanation for a private visit or stop that he made in Ghana, in which he declined whatever offer was offered. He's not going to waste his time on that. But it was a great show. I want to thank you guys, all of you guys. I enjoyed my time with you guys. And thank you, Mr. Gilman. We'll be here again for the next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who's next, Mr. Nambe? Real quick.
Yeah, I think it is a great show when Aliu is muted for half of the show. I think it's a great show. But I tell you this. I think the CPP is feeling really good. If President Weir could be smoked out of his comfortable Jamaica resort and go and walk the sun in Buchanan because he knows he now needs to get out and go and actually canvass for the votes because he knows the Israelis who are in country will not help him to put a finger on the scale. I think it's a good day for the CPP. We are motivated because we are the 7%ers. We know that. And we'll continue to work hard. We will continue to visit every nook and cranny of Liberia. We'll canvass for the votes and we will work hard. We will not stop until the first round is over on October 10th. Now, as to my friend Aliu and the rescue team, I just feel it is smart politically for them to address the allegations from Henry Costa. But again, it is within, it is the road. They may choose to do so or not to do so. But I believe as our colleagues in the opposition community, we think it will help them put this story to rest, put it to bed as quickly as possible if they came out and addressed it head on. Because it is not going to go away. This thing has seized every talk show, and it is going to stay with us. So thank you for the show. It was a great Sunday afternoon. Thank you all. It's always good, to sit here and discuss Liberia. And thank you to our listeners as well for their contributions.
Great. Mr. Elvin, 1 minute. We're going 5 minutes over our time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show, Mr. Gayman. It's nice to be on this platform and share my views. Quickly, let me just say to the Cummins people, Cummins said we can't keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result, but he acknowledged that, as a matter of fact, he has to continue to do the same thing to hope for similar results. So when he, allow himself with the likes of Louis Brown and Donald Chair and other people who had some, unscrupulous character, it's analogous to the point that he was trying to make, that you can't keep doing the same thing. His decision making has been poor. In corporate America, I'm sure he did very well to get where he got to, but in Liberian politics, he's been struggling. I think you guys can admit that. But again, I won't take too much of your time. Thank you for having me on the show. It was a great show. And thank you to the other gentlemen for being here too today. Thank you.
Great. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Thank you for participating, gentlemen. Mr. Gay, I want to say thank you for doing us a great favor the last time. The young lady appreciates what you have done. She will reach out to you. And it shows the kind of spirit that we have as Liberians, coming to our age when we need help. For those who are doing well, please contribute towards our show. We want to have our reporters all over in the country, and you need to do a little contribution to our show. Focus on Liberia does a great job all around the country. $20 here monthly, $10 here would do us a lot. Team President, we had a great show. The momentum is on his side. The president is on the move. As usual, we end our show by saying we all Liberian.
We all Liberian. Liberia is our home.